And New York lawmakers are worried that the state's child care crisis is going to get even worse quickly. In the Buffalo Public School District, for example, about 19,000 students are expected to need child care this year. But many daycare centers are struggling, if they're open at all, due to the pandemic. Well, now lawmakers are calling for the governor to release the much-needed federal money that has been given to the state specifically for child care. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Proya goes in-depth tonight with a closer look at this problem.
$14,000 a year, 1 full day a week, more than $200 per month, 5 full days a week, more than $800 a month. That's the average cost of daycare in New York, if you can even find one.
I had to drop my son down to part-time because I just couldn't afford it. I had to decide I wanted to get groceries instead of, my child coming here.
Western New York is already considered a child care desert.
The past 4 months, the situation has gotten much worse, and over 50% of my colleagues in Chautauqua County have closed their doors. Nationally, it's estimated that about half of them will never reopen again.
And the need for more child care spots will only increase once students go back to school.
It just becomes a bigger problem.
The federal government made $163 million of emergency funding available for child care through the CARES Act. According to the governor's office, back in April, $30 million was released for child care scholarships for essential workers and personal protective equipment for child care centers.
All of the $30 million was not used.
In June, $65 million was allocated strictly for expanding child care centers.
There were a lot of restrictions around that funding, so those that applied have not heard back yet as to whether they're getting those funds or not.
Leaving $68 million of this emergency funding waiting to be released. And child care centers which aren't expanding without any help.
We would love for there to be support for every provider, and that's what was needed from the beginning.
We don't need it in a month, we need it now. We needed it a month ago.
That is why 80 New York State lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are calling for the governor to release the remaining money. They say our economy depends on it, because for every dollar that is invested in childcare, it returns $1.86 in economic impact.
Without the solid foundation of good childcare, our economy will never be able to recover from this devastating pandemic.
And it only makes sense that we invest in our future.
Olivia Proya, 7 Eyewitness News.